Welcome to the Anime Audiophile Podcast. Please like and subscribe for more. Thank you. Demon Slayer. Signs from the Wind. Chapter 1. Signs from the Wind. Hey, are you okay? Said the boy with the sword. Don't worry. I got the demon's head. Your arm's really bleeding, though. Here, apply pressure above the wound. With his free hand, he tossed Sanemi a clean handkerchief. Sanemi looked the boy over suspiciously. Likely 1 or 2 years his senior, the boy wore some kind of stiff-collared military uniform. 2 old scars burned beneath his left eye. Sanemi tried to collect himself. Do demons die when you cut off their head? You're out here demon hunting and you don't know that much? You're lucky you're still alive. The boy wiped the blood from his sword before returning it to its sheath. He squatted next to Sanemi. That blood's not stopping, huh? How about I bind the wound tight for you? Just make sure you get it lifted properly when you get the chance. The boy took a bandage out of his pocket. Give me your arm. He pressed the fabric against the wound and deftly tied it off. It's you, isn't it? He asked as he worked. The dumb kid running around hunting demons even though he's not a demon slayer. Why would you do a thing like that? He looked into Sanemi's eyes, his gaze almost painfully sincere. Sanemi looked away. I'm going to slaughter every last one of those hideous things. Yeah? The boy seemed unfazed by the bitterness in Sanemi's voice. His tone remained light. Keep this up and you're gonna die, you know. You won't take out a single demon fighting like that. Oh yeah? Ignoring Sanemi's bitterness, the boy stood up and held out a hand. I'll introduce you to a trainer. To kill every last demon, you'll really need to build up your strength. The boy's smile was bottomless and bright. Despite himself, Sanemi was caught off guard. And that was how Sanemi Shinazugawa met the demon slayer Masachika Kumino. Hi, Sanemi. Injured again, huh? Shut up, came Sanemi's reply. Masachika was waiting in front of the house when Sanemi returned from his latest mission. For a moment he looked troubled by the gaping wound on Sanemi's shoulder, but his smile quickly returned. Sanemi didn't try to hide his displeasure. What are you doing here? Just got back from a mission. Akatsugai Crow told me you'd finish yours too, so I figured we could get a bite together. You used your rare blood again, didn't you? I told you, you have to stop cutting yourself up all the time. That's none of your business. Sanemi clicked his tongue in annoyance as he pushed the hair back from his face. All he wanted to do was get some sleep, and here was this loudmouth in his face again. It was too much to take. He's always ambushing me like this. What is with him? Sanemi tried to push past the other demon slayer, but Masachika grabbed his arm. Stop right there. We're going to Butterfly Mansion. Excuse me? You need to get that wound treated. And you could use a good scolding from Kocho while you're at it. You've got to be kidding me. Sanemi stepped up to Masachika, their noses practically touching. Sanemi's fierce scowl put fear in the hearts of their comrades and the Kikuchi. It even made older demon slayers flinch. Yet it had never had any effect on Masachika. I'm not kidding, said Masachika. Not over this. I told you it's none of your business, Kumino. Is that so? He arched an eyebrow. I'm the one who introduced you to our master, Sanemi. I'm basically your big brother. Sanemi this, Sanemi that. Don't call me by my first name like we're friends. You can call me by my first name. Then we'll be even, right? Masachika grinned. Chika. Go on, give it a try. You don't get it. Frustrated, Sanemi tried to yank his arm away, but Masachika's fingers dug in like a turtle's beak. The standoff didn't quite come to blows. Sanemi, in his weakened state, passed out mid-struggle. When he woke up, he was in a bed at Butterfly Mansion. "I see you cut yourself again," Kana Kocho frowned as she studied Sanemi in the examination room. "Get off my back," Sanemi snapped. "The injuries from your last mission haven't healed yet, but you insisted on pulling your bandages off. Those wounds are going to fester. And your face is so swollen I barely recognize you." Kana got disinfectant to clean his wounds. Sanemi averted his eyes with a short snarl. "It's not all the demon's work," he told her. "That piece of garbage kimono wasn't exactly gentle when he dragged me here." She sighed. "And whose fault is that? Stop making him worry. I didn't ask him to care. I mean, come on. What's his problem?" Sanemi could hear his voice rising. "Don't cut yourself. Don't be so reckless in battle. Have you eaten? Try to get along with people. Take a bath. Stop glaring at everybody." On and on it went, day after day. The guy was always hanging around, pestering him, and Sanemi was sick to death of it. "And he won't shut up about the brothers thing," he snapped. "Just because we're apprenticed to the same master." Kana gently took his hands in hers. "You don't have to be so angry. Try to accept his friendship, okay?" With a sharp breath, Sanemi looked away from her shining face. Somehow, it was impossible to argue with Kana. Her hands were so gentle as she treated his injuries. In every movement of her fingers, he could feel her thoughtful care, the way she avoided touching his wounds directly to shield him from pain. So warm. His mother, long gone, had warm, gentle hands too. As Sanemi's mind wandered, Kana finished disinfecting his cuts and began sewing them closed with small, tight stitches. "Kimono cares about you, Shinazugawa," she said softly. "He worries that you're too kind for this line of work." Sanemi was yanked back to reality. "Huh?" He burst out laughing. "How am I kind? I'm a jerk. That brainless dolt's the one who acts like a puppy begging to be kicked." Kana shrugged slightly. She looked up as if she had something to say, then turned back to her work. Once each cut was stitched up, she pressed it with gauze and neatly wound a bandage in place. The faint aroma of wisteria mixed with the harsh scent of disinfectant in the bright, tidy examination room. When Sanemi left the room, Masachika was in the hallway outside, talking to another demon slayer. Sanemi scowled. Was the guy actually waiting for him? Sanemi couldn't get over Masachika's persistence. He wondered what, exactly, he had to do to get Masachika to understand precisely how unwelcome he was. Masachika's conversation partner was a female demon slayer with delicate features and a butterfly hairpin worn high at the back of her head. Sanemi recognized her as Kana's younger sister, Shinobu. Siblings were rare in the demon slayer corps. Sanemi could barely imagine the traumas in Kana's past, witnessing her parents slain by demons, being rescued by the stone hashira, and finally choosing to join the corps. But after everything she'd gone through, it seemed unfathomable that she would let her younger sister sign up as well. If his own little brother Genya said he was going to join the corps, Sanemi was sure he'd do anything short of murder to stop him. He was determined to walk this bloody path alone. Masachika near the end of the story he was telling. And the stone hashira's flute was so loud that some old lady chased him around town, hitting him with a broom. Shinobu nearly burst out laughing, then hurried to settle her face back into a solemn expression. She cleared her throat. "I didn't know Imajima played the flute. You wouldn't think it to look at him, right? You know what else? He's a huge cat person. When the neighborhood cats see the stone hashira, they all..." What was he going on about? Sanemi knew that not every conversation had to be serious, especially during downtime between missions, but Masachika always took it too far. "Oh, Sanemi," Masachika noticed his annoyed comrade and raised a hand. "All fixed up?" "Oh good," said Shinobu. "I need to talk to my sister. See you later." She dipped a quick bow at Sanemi before passing him to enter the examination room. Masachika leaned playfully towards Sanemi. See, you had everybody worried. Better not get yourself injured again, right? Hey, are you blushing? Shut up. Masachika's grin only broadened. Sanemi shouldered him out of the way, but Masachika showed no sign of irritation as he trailed along behind. Hey, wait up. His carefree attitude only annoyed Sanemi more. I was just chatting with Shinobu about the stone hashira. He's really something, isn't he? Tough and reliable, Masachika sighed, deeply moved. So cool. All Sanemi had heard was some idiocy about flutes and cats. He sniffed indignantly to himself. How exactly is that cool? I want to be a hashira someday. You do too, don't you, Sanemi? Masachika danced around his comrade. Don't you? Don't you? Sanemi ignored him. We should bet on who becomes hashira first, Masachika continued, as if Sanemi had eagerly agreed. I've got it. The loser can buy the winner dinner. But no cheap eats like soba. That's hardly worth a bet. It's gotta be fine dining, like sukiyaki. Ah, that simmered meat and tofu, and the sauce. A prize worth training for. He let out an ecstatic sigh. Sanemi couldn't keep quiet another second. Not interested, he spat. Masachika stared at him blankly. The look on his face only fanned the flames of Sanemi's anger. Look at him. Playing the fool as usual. Why would a clown like this risk his life to hunt demons? How could he possibly hate them as deeply as Sanemi did? The thought made Sanemi's jaw clench. Why not? There went that arched eyebrow again. Don't you want to be hashira? Girls will fall all over you. I can just see it. Even less interested. You don't want girls to like you? Masachika pressed. You sure you got your head on straight? Shut up, Sanemi whirled around and glared at Masachika. Everything about this guy was dancing on his last nerve. Seriously, what is with you? You keep babbling on and on and on. Masachika stopped too. To Sanemi's surprise, his eyes filled with pity. Listen, Sanemi, he said at last. No matter how desperate you get, don't give up hope. I mean, even if no girl is giving you a second look now, you've got to tell yourself that someday a woman will come along who sees something in you. Keep your chin up, okay? You can do this, Masachika patted Sanemi on the shoulder. Catching a glimpse of Masachika's self-satisfied look, Sanemi felt ready to explode. He shoved Masachika's hand away. How can you talk about this meaningless drivel when we're putting our lives on the line? Masachika shook his head. How can I not? You've got to enjoy life. Yeah, we could face death at any moment, but lots of demon slayers find love too. Some even start families. I mean, the sound hashira has 3 beautiful wives. Imagine that. 3. Wow, that's a lot. 3 wives. 1 would be enough for me. Just one lady I can love from the bottom of my heart. All I want is to kill as many demons as I can, Sanemi interrupted, his voice like ice. Life's not for fun. He'd given up anything resembling a normal life years ago, when his mother became a demon and he killed her with his own hands. Now he was driven by a boundless hatred of demons, a hunger for vengeance. If he had any dreams left to speak of, they were for the little brother he'd left behind. Jinya would fall in love, get married, have a bushel of kids, and die at a ripe old age with a smile on his face. Sanemi would do anything to ensure that. If demons threatened his brother's happiness, he'd mow them down. If his very head were cut off, he'd die sinking his teeth into the windpipe of any demon he could reach. He didn't need happiness for himself. Only for Jinya. Got it? He snapped. Now get the hell out of here. Stop hassling me. Masachika frowned and was silent for a moment. Oh, he said at last, his voice sounding strange. I get it. Sanemi huffed in satisfaction. Finally he hears me. Masachika grabbed hold of Sanemi's wrist. What the? Sanemi scowled and tried to pull his arm away. Get your hand, Dash. We're going to get some ohagi, Masachika declared. Huh? Don't sweat it. It's on me. Masachika yanked on Sanemi's wrist. Scarfing down a mountain of ohagi will cheer anybody up. You don't get it at all, Sanemi shouted. You stupid ass. Fine, Masachika rolled his eyes. I'll throw in some matcha. Like hell you will. Why ohagi, anyway? It's your favorite, right? I've seen you eating it. You weren't glaring. For once, so I figured you must love the stuff. What are you, spying on me? You creep. You're screwed up. Sanemi showered Masachika in curses as his brother dragged him along with unexpected strength. Yeah, I know, said Masachika softly, sounding suddenly vulnerable. It was so out of character that Sanemi stopped fighting back. Masachika let go of him and kept walking. I get worried about you, okay? Risking your life is one thing. That's what we do. But... Sanemi stared at the back ahead of him, the kanji 4 ruined emblazoned across it, as it quivered. I don't want you to give up on your life. Sanemi was at a loss for words as Masachika looked over his shoulder at him. He was calm, even smiling, yet somehow Sanemi felt like he was watching a man cry. New orders, said Masachika as Sanemi entered the training dojo. A joint mission, believe it or not. You and me? Sanemi frowned. Why? Didn't expect that, huh? We hardly ever get to fight together, Masachika sighed. Now that we're higher in the ranks, we're too busy training the new kids. Time had indeed passed since their first meeting. They were both ranked kino. At some point, Sanemi had stopped calling his loudmouth comrade Kimono and started using Masachika. The first time he had slipped and called Masachika by his first name, the other demon slayer had been so surprised he dropped his wooden training sword. Then a grin had spread across his face. As they sat facing each other, cross-legged, Sanemi felt like he was back in his earliest training days. The particular smell of the dojo, sweat soaked into the wooden floor, was fondly familiar. It sounds like a tricky mission, Masachika said. Is that why it's a two-man operation? Sanemi snorted out a laugh. What are our orders? There's this town a ways from here. Masachika outlined the situation. According to intelligence, people were disappearing near an abandoned house on the outskirts of the town. The missing people got anything in common? Sanemi asked, rubbing his chin. They're always kids. The faces of his little brothers and sisters flashed through Sanemi's mind, then evaporated. When he looked up, Masachika was watching him with eyes that seemed to beg for reassurance. Masachika was the only person Sanemi had told about his mother and siblings. Sanemi brushed off Masachika's concern. Any distinction between girls and boys? Nope, Masachika's tone grew hard. The truth is, before these orders came to us, several other demon slayers were given the mission. All but 3 of them are now missing. No clue if they're alive or not? No. What about the 3 who didn't disappear? Dead? No, Masachika said slowly. All 3 of them came back just fine. And? They reported that the house was empty. No demons, no missing kids, and no sign of the other demon slayers, Masachika elaborated. What the hell? Sanemi ran a hand through his pale hair. The story was confusing, like a prank a fox spirit would play. Anything special about the 3 who came back? Unfortunately, I don't have any more details, Masachika sighed. If we fail, the hashira will have to go in. So it's serious, said Sanemi, smiling grimly. The hashira, pillars of support for the demon slayers, were only deployed in dire situations. But if he and Masachika, two slayers of Kino rank, failed, they were the only remaining option. Sanemi wasn't about to let it get to that point. They didn't need to trouble the hashira. No matter what kind of demon was lurking in that house, he'd kill it with his own blade. Well, then. He rose to his feet. We'd better get going. His friend nodded and stood as well. First joint demon hunt in a while. He stretched luxuriously, gazing fondly at the ceiling of the dojo. Senior slayers seldom had the chance to linger at their old training grounds. Abruptly, Masachika smiled. Up for a quick sparring session first? It's been so long. Nah. I can kick your ass once the mission is over. 207 bouts total. 159 wins for me, 42 losses, 6 draws, Masachika announced cheerfully. I won't go down easy. The answer's still no, Dodo. Sanemi wasn't in the mood for harsher banter. He started out toward the town where their mission awaited them. So rude. What happened to that sweet child I knew? Masachika frowned. And at some point you got taller than me. Get used to it. I'll be the first to make hashira too. If that happens, you're definitely buying me a beef bowl. The girls will prefer me anyway. Just wait and see. Yeah. Hurry up and quit wasting time, Sanemi scoffed. It doesn't have to be a sword fight. Name your contest. We can fight with beetles like we did when we were kids. Come on, my honor as your big brother is on the line. My idiot brother. Move it, will you? As serious as their mission sounded, Sanemi felt his heart lift. It had been a long time since he had an afternoon to enjoy with his old friend. A rare, faint smile crossed his face. As reported, the town was a long walk from the dojo, and the house itself was far on the outskirts. By the time Masachika and Sanemi arrived, the sun was hanging low. The sky had been overcast when they left, and now it was heavy with dark clouds that looked ready to open up with rain at any moment. The wind had a biting chill. This the place? Sanemi asked. At his side, Masachika gazed upward, impressed. Some house, huh? It was indeed a magnificent old building, surrounded by luxuriant trees. Still, there was something cheerless about it. Perhaps it was the tangle of foliage, but the initial impression of tranquility soon gave way to dismal gloom. Kinda creepy, Sanemi's brow furrowed. Even the red spider lilies blossoming in the garden seemed to grow less beautiful and more threatening. Sanemi shook off the feeling. Let's go in. Right, Masachika agreed. Together they stepped into the house. Ugh, Sanemi was abruptly overpowered by an unfamiliar scent. It was heavy as incense, but chokingly sweet, with the septic tang of a ripe corpse. And yet, at the same time, the fragrance beckoned. Sanemi reeled. What's that smell? Sanemi shook his head, trying to shake off the cloying scent. Wrinkling his nose, he looked to his partner. Hey, Masa. Masachika was gone. Masachika? Sanemi whirled around, but there was no sign of anyone in the palatial entryway or the dim hallway stretching ahead. He checked outside. No trace of Masachika there either. Anyway, Masachika would never abandon his friend without warning. Sanemi glared into the darkness. What's going on? Sudden disappearance of his partner. He vanished like a puff of smoke. He pressed on into the house, the sickly sweet scent filling his nostrils. Sanemi, where'd you go? The house was silent, chilly, and deserted. The rooms were empty, save for a few furnishings scattered around, as if abandoned in a hurry. Masachika found a dresser and an empty rosewood display case in a room deep in the house. Both were elegant pieces, but, shoved into forgotten corners, they looked curiously drab. Sanami! Where are you? Calling his friend's name, Masachika searched every cranny of the house. He looked in the kitchen and storerooms, even the stable and outhouse behind the main building, but Sanami was nowhere to be found. Neither were the missing children or demon slayers. And Masachika sensed no sign of a demon. There's no one. They said the house was empty. No demons, no missing children, and no sign of the other demon slayers. His own words came back to him unbidden. His concern deepened. Where'd you go, Sanami? He shouted. If you're here, give A. What's going on? Masachika blinked repeatedly, baffled by the holler. If you're gone, say you're gone. It was the kind of demand that would make his friend groan and call him an idiot, but there was no reply. He stood, baffled, in the dim hallway. That almost unendurable scent, sweetly rotten, assaulted his nostrils. This smell hanging in the air. I can't tell if it's a fine perfume or a terrible stench. And it's so intense I can barely think. Where was it coming from? He hadn't seen an incense burner anywhere in the house. Masachika covered his nose with the sleeve of his uniform and mentally retraced his steps. Sanami said, "Let's go in," and I said, "Right." We stepped through the lattice door together. As soon as we walked in, the smell hit us. And then Sanami was gone. No matter how he racked his brain, Masachika couldn't remember anything more than that. Not only that, his memory was growing foggier. He was beginning to doubt whether Sanami had been with him at all. In a panic, he slapped his own face. Get a grip, Masachika, he snapped to himself. Keep your head on your shoulders. With that, he stormed out the front door. At the touch of the cool breeze outside, his head cleared to a surprising degree. With fresh eyes, he looked back at the house. There was no second floor, no storehouse, no wing he hadn't explored. He was peering under the front veranda to see if there was anything hidden there when a voice called out to him from behind. You there? Boy. What are you doing? Masachika turned to find an old man standing outside the gates. The hair on his head was snowy white, but he seemed hale and hearty for his age, no cane in his hand. From his tightly pursed lips and hardened face, Masachika could tell at a glance that this was one stubborn old character. Don't go barging into other people's houses, the old man said. I'm sorry, Masachika bowed dutifully. The old man's eyes, buried in wrinkled flesh, narrowed into mere threads. You a police officer? His gaze flashed over Masachika's black uniform. Mighty young for that. No, sir, I only look young. I've got a baby face. See, Masachika was happy to go along with the old man's mistake. Correcting him would only complicate things. The Demon Slayer Corps was a secret society, known to few and seldom mentioned by outsiders. The old man looked dubiously at Masachika's sunny smile. And what brings the police here? Masachika scrambled to throw a story together. We're investigating the resident of this house. What's there to investigate? The place is empty. No one lives there anymore. Anymore? Masachika hurried down the walk. Do you know who lived here before? Would you mind telling me about them? His words ran together in his excitement. Finally, a lead. The old man cupped a hand behind his ear. Masachika brought his face in closer and raised his voice. Who lived here before, grandfather? You don't have to holler. And I'm not old enough to be called grandfather just yet. The old man grumbled. I couldn't follow is all, seeing as you were yammering a mile a minute. You. Masachika grinned ruefully to himself. His first impression had been accurate. This witness was not going to be so easy to handle. But, soothed and humored by Masachika's natural friendliness, the old man lowered his hackles. When I was a young'un, a beautiful girl lived here with her servants. Name was Yae. After losing her parents as a child, he explained, Ye married young out of loneliness. Her new husband was handsome like an actor and played the gentle, attentive lover at the beginning of their relationship. But he showed his true nature when their daughter Sae was born. He was a right violent fellow, the old man said sadly. Mother and daughter were always covered in bruises, the neighbors noted. Ye's husband sold the priceless antiques and hanging scrolls she had inherited from her parents and frittered the money away on booze and gambling. If Ye dared reproach him, he beat her unconscious. The servants all fled in terror of the man. Listening to this, Masachika grew furious. What a monster. Sure was. I should have beaten that guy to a pulp, Masachika erupted, as if he had been there himself. Water under the bridge, my boy. What's the use of getting angry now? Keep quiet and listen. Even as he chided Masachika, the old man smiled slyly. Throwing off another layer of reserve, he added, "Don't worry." He got what was coming to him. One morning, after a rainstorm, the husband's body was found floating in the nearby river. His eyesight had always been weak, and the area was rocky, so the official story was that he'd lost his footing and drowned. Not one person mourned his death. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They thought Ye could finally be happy with her daughter, but the old man shook his head. No sooner had Ye been freed from her abusive husband than her daughter Sae fell ill. Everyone in town felt pity for them and tried to help. Being close in age to Sae, the old man himself was often sent to the house with gifts from his mother. "Well do I recall," he said, "what good care ye took of her girl. Ye had cooled Sae's brow, had spooned rice porridge into her mouth, had given her sponge baths, and had cleaned up her vomit and filth. She had worked tirelessly. Perhaps to hide the smell of medicated baths and disinfectant, or else to soothe her bedridden daughter's nerves, she had kept fragrant incense always burning in the house. But just when it seemed Sae was recovering at last, she had suddenly taken a turn for the worse. Soon she couldn't even speak anymore. Poor thing wasn't yet 10 when she passed. The old man sighed, pained at the remembrance. The evening of the wake, Ye broke down sobbing in front of the dresser in little Sae's room. "Dresser?" Masachika asked. "Little chest of drawers, low to the floor, with a mirror on top. Marvelous old piece of furniture Ye inherited from her mother. And I heard her mother inherited it from her mother. Made special to order, by all accounts, and the mirror was supposedly a charm to ward off evil spirits. It was just about the only thing she managed to keep her vile husband from pawning. No doubt she hoped it would protect them." The old man trailed off. Clearly the charmed mirror, handed down for generations, had not saved the mother and child. "What happened to ye after that?" Masachika asked, hardly wanting to hear the answer. "Well, that, you see." The old man furrowed his snowy brows. Sae's body was buried on the grounds, but not long after the mourning period, it was dug up. Dragged away by wild dogs or some such, I don't doubt. All that was left was the girl's kimono. Well, that was the last poor Ye could bear. She gave into grief and drifted off someplace. No one knows what became of her. And no one's lived in the house since then? Stood empty ever since. Shyly, the old man confessed that he still tended the grounds, coming by once a day, as a gravekeeper of sorts. Perhaps, somewhere in his heart, he still longed for the girl who had departed from this world too soon, or her missing mother. "Whatever else, it's a fine house," the man continued. "Can't have ruffians coming along and getting up to no good in there." "Can't let that happen," Masachika agreed solemnly. "Just this evening, you know, I saw a couple of seedy-looking characters headed this way, loud as all get out. Got concerned and decided to take a look." The old man gave Masachika a significant glance. Masachika was oblivious. "I haven't seen anyone like that," he said, surprised. "Where'd they go?" "Fool. I'm talking about you and your friend," the old man sputtered. "But, well, now I get a proper look at you, you seem harmless enough." Maybe a bit dim, is all. Where's your friend, though? He looked right. Villain, he did. He's not still in there, is he? The old man turned his suspicious gaze toward the house. Masachika cried in his heart, Sanemi. The old man was talking about Sanemi. No mistake. So they really had come together. And Sanemi had disappeared. This had to be the work of a demon. Through some supernatural power, some wicked trick, it whisked certain people away, leaving others behind. But why Sanemi and not Masachika? Did that mean Sanemi had something in common with the other abductees? Masachika fell silent, thinking, and the old man started up again. So now you know there's nothing more to see here. Not even the police have the right to go tramping over an old man's memories. Take the other fellow and go, you hear me? With this final warning, the old man turned and strode away into the night. After watching him go, Masachika looked up at the house rising from its thicket of trees. Now that he'd heard the old man's story, the house seemed less threatening than it did sad. Where had he disappeared to after losing her daughter? What if? Was she the demon he was after? Perhaps Muzan Kibutsuji had given his blood to a woman in the depths of despair from the loss of her beloved child. The woman, now a demon, abducted children, unable to move on from her daughter's death. But where was she taking them? And what about the missing demon slayers, whose number now included Sanemi? A thought flashed in the back of Masachika's mind. At the end of the long, dark hallway, Sanemi found a tatami-floored room. As he stepped inside, the scent grew even stronger. What is this? Sanemi frowned at the strange sight before him. A petite woman with long black hair piled on her head was bustling around the room, tending to 6 beds that stood in a neat row. 4 children and 2 demon slayers lay in the beds, covered in linen so white they dazzled the eye. But 2 of the children and 1 of the slayers were no longer breathing. Flies had settled on their eyeballs and maggots crawled on their bodies. The children who were still alive had wasted away to skin and bones and stared vacantly at the ceiling with clouded eyes. The surviving demon slayer, lying in the bed farthest to the right, was wrapped in blood-soaked bandages. He groaned in agony, sounding like a crushed toad, before a violent fit of coughing overtook him and he vomited. "Oh, dear me," the woman chirped. "It came back up again, did it? You poor dear." She wiped away the vomit with a gentle hand and gave the slayer water from a pitcher. He was too weak to swallow, so it only dribbled from the corners of his mouth. She wiped the sweat from his forehead and propped him up on the pillows. Without pausing, the woman turned to the girl in the next bed and began to comb her greasy hair. "We'll make you look cute. All right?" She smiled, endlessly loving, as she braided the girl's hair. Her words and gestures were maternal, but she was no human mother. Fangs gleamed in her mouth, and her eyes were blood-red. "I'll always be here to take care of you," the woman half sang as she stroked the girl's head. Abruptly, she turned to Sanemi. "Oh, that's right. A new boy's come to join us. Please get along nicely, everyone." She tucked a lock of hair behind her ear, revealing the character's lower one inscribed in her left eye. Sanemi's eyes grew wide, then narrowed again. That number was proof that this demon reported directly to Muzan Kibutsuji. "You're one of the 12 Kazuki." This was no ordinary demon. He was looking at one of the 12 demons with the greatest concentration of Muzan Kibutsuji's blood. A thrill of pure hatred made the hair on his arms stand on end. Holding his Nichiren sword before him, Sanemi leapt from the tatami. He aimed for the woman's slender neck. He focused his attack on that single point, determined to avoid hurting her victims without showing any mercy to the demon herself. The demon waved a slim arm and parried Sanemi's blade with ease. The crimson flower in her hair fluttered the slightest bit, as if a breeze had kissed it. "Wah! Tee! No mischief, now!" At the sight of Sanemi's surprised face, the edges of the demon's red lips curled up. Her smile, blossoming like a flower, was like a gentle rebuke to a naughty child. Sanemi glared at her. "What did you do with Masachika, Masachika?" She frowned briefly. "Oh, I didn't want that one. Only you, my dear. Your little friend is doing just fine. He's looking for you, but he'll give up and go home soon enough." The demon peered into Sanemi's eyes. "Poor darling," she murmured. Long, slender fingers stretched out to him. The moment they brushed his cheek, Sanemi grunted and leapt back. He readjusted his grip on his sword. The demon brought her fingers to her lips. Her empty eyes narrowed with amusement. "You were treated cruelly by a parent, weren't you? I can always tell from the eyes. Your father? Mother? Or perhaps both?" At this insult to his mother, Sanemi's blood boiled. "Monster!" He swung his sword wildly. "You can go to hell. Dear me, there's no talking to you, is there?" With a nimble hop, the demon dodged Sanemi's blow. "That won't do. A child mustn't fight his mother." She laughed gently, and the sickly sweet air grew even thicker. In the blink of an eye, the room transformed. Sanemi gasped and stared as the walls became slabs of pulsating red-black flesh. The clean white beds where the demon's victims lay were pale, flabby lumps, like overripe fruit. Sanemi grimaced. "What is this foul place?" "My belly." The demon's voice remained steady and kind, and her gentle smile never wavered. "You're inside me now, my child." Sanemi wasn't sure whether to believe his eyes. "You doubt your mother? What about now?" With a burbling sound, the bodies of the 3 dead children sank into the lumps on which they lay. The walls of flesh pulsed with greater strength. A red tongue flicked out of the demon's mouth. She licked her lips. "Delicious." "What did you do with them?" Sanemi asked, his voice low with anger. "Why, I ate them, of course," the demon replied genially. "I sent them into my depths, my womb. Now we can be together forever." She sighed, contentment in her soft voice, and pressed her hands to her breast. Sanemi wanted to vomit. He no longer cared where he was or what was happening. He wouldn't be satisfied until he took this demon's head. "Enough," he snarled. "Quit this sick mommy act right now." "Act? Oh, dear." She shook her head. "It's the honest truth. Illness stole my own dear daughter from me. Now, in her place, I ease the suffering of children not blessed with kind, loving parents. You see, I can always tell which ones they are. The pain they've suffered. How sad they've been. I take these poor children as my own and become their beloved mother." "Don't give me that," Sanemi spat. "What kind of mother are you? You call this caring?" His roar roused the half-dead demon slayer, who braced himself on his elbows and looked blearily at Sanemi. A faint moan escaped his lips. "You." Sanemi remembered the young man's face from his final selection. His name was Uraga. He'd been strong and hardy, Shinazugawa, Uraga whispered, barely making a sound. His windpipe was crushed. Help me." An arm as skinny as a twig reached out lifelessly. At this, the kindly expression slid from the demon's face. She marched over to Uraga and raised a hand, bearing her sharp nails. Before her claws could reach Uraga's throat, Sanemi pulled him away. Uraga's body was shockingly light. As Sanemi set Uraga down in a spot away from the demon's grasp, Uraga clutched at Sanemi's uniform with a burst of strength. "My girlfriend, waiting for me," he groaned. "Please. I don't want to die." "Don't what?" Sanemi remembered Uraga saying he'd never gotten along with his parents, his mother in particular. Despite that, he dreamed of starting a family of his own as soon as he could. Sanemi gritted his teeth. In his condition, even if Uraga could get immediate medical treatment, he had perhaps a 50-50 chance of survival. Help! Me, the other demon slayer groaned again. It's okay, Uraga. Don't talk. Reluctantly, Sanemi let go of the boy's hand. So you've abandoned your mother, then? The demon said in a flat voice. She looked at Uraga with icy eyes. Just like her. Honestly, I have such ungrateful children. All the time I spend on you, and for what? Such a bother. Well, if you're going to betray me, you can get out of my sight this instant. There's no point in you being alive anymore. I don't want you. Go ahead and die. Sanemi glared at her. What are you reveling on about? Beside him, Uraga cradled his head in his hands. Ah, Aya. His body began to spasm violently as his moans rose to a scream. Aya. Hey, Sanemi grabbed Uraga's shoulders and tried to shake him out of whatever was happening to him. Sure, Natsu, ga. Wa. Uraga looked up at him pleadingly. Tears filled his eyes. Then he shook his head faintly, as if resigning himself to his fate. A smile spread across his tear-streaked face. It's no use. No one can betray Mother. He pulled a dagger from his uniform. In one swift stroke, he slashed his throat. A spray of blood bloomed and doused Sanemi in crimson. Uraga, he cried. With a final gasp, Uraga collapsed on the living floor, still spasming with pain. Before long, however, he stopped moving. Tears trailed down cheeks so hollow they were nothing but skin stretched over bone. You! Sanemi growled, his voice trembling with anger. What did you do to Uraga? Dear me, what are you so upset about? The demon was smiling again, the gentleness restored to her face. That naughty boy tried to make me out to be the villain, don't you see? My only desire is to live happily ever after with my beloved children. He was trying to spoil our joy. He took advantage of my generosity. Dying is the least he could do to make up for that. Inside Sanemi's head, he felt something snap. Damn you! His fury filled the room. Sanemi? Masachika whirled around. He was sure he'd heard his friend's voice, but there was no sign of him. He returned to one particular room in the house. Before him stood the mirrored dresser the old man had described. Masachika wasn't sure why it haunted him. But if he had become a demon, it might provide a clue as to what had happened to her. He crouched in front of it. The mirror was covered by a fine embroidered cloth. The dresser was clearly an antique, but otherwise it seemed to be an ordinary piece of furniture. The handles on the drawers, however, were made of something that resembled the metal of a Nichiren sword. If the dresser had been designed as a charm against evil, the artisan might very well have used iron from Mount Yoko. That iron, bathed in sunlight, held the power to repel demons. Masachika put a finger on a dull handle and pulled on the top drawer. It was empty. Just to check, he reached inside. The tips of his fingers brushed something that made a rustling sound. What's this? He frowned. Something was stuck to the top of the drawer. He gingerly peeled it away from the wood, careful not to tear whatever it was. It turned out to be a piece of pulp paper, folded clumsily. Masachika opened it, not expecting much. He froze. Characters trailed along the page, written in red that had dried to black. Mother made me drink poison. Mother burned my throat. Mother boxed my ears. Mother tore out my hair. Mother pulled out my nails. Mother broke my bones. Mother doesn't hug me. Mother says she didn't want me. Mother says she loves me. Mother is trying to kill me. Help me, help, 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 help. The characters toward the end were badly drawn, half scrawls. Masachika unconsciously raised a hand to his mouth, almost dropping the paper. Panicked, he grabbed it tightly with both hands. It made a dry crackling sound. What is this? Did her mother kill her? He didn't want to believe it. But judging from what the old man had told him, this had been Sae's room. He killed Sae. The world turned inside out. Everything he'd been told about this sad, noble woman was drenched in black. Masachika stared, stunned, at the dresser. She gazed into this mirror the whole time, admiring herself. The picture-perfect image of motherly love, nursing her child. What about her husband? Had his death really been an accident? And who dug up Sae's body? Masachika's breath quickened. The images that filled his head made him sick. The page was smeared here and there with long-dried tears. Had Sae bitten into the end of her finger to write the note in blood? The characters seemed to writhe in pain, re-eating the terror and desperation of a girl not yet 10 years old living through a nightmare. Masachika's vision blurred. The poor girl. She must have suffered terribly. She must have been so afraid. A tear of his own dropped on the page. Suddenly the choking fragrance grew weaker. He seemed to hear his friend's voice again, this time more clearly. Masachika leapt to his feet. Sanami. I can hear you. Where are you? As he whirled around, the tip of his Nichiren sword caught on the fabric draped over the mirror. The silk cloth slid away and fell to the tatami mat on the floor. Masachika stooped to pick it up, only to stop when he caught sight of the glass. What? He gasped. In the mirror, Masachika could see Sanami behind him. He was standing in the middle of the room, facing a female demon, not facing her. For some reason, he had his blade turned in the wrong direction. The demon was watching him with glee from a safe distance. The color drained from Masachika's face. Sanami. She's behind you. Masachika spun around with his own sword drawn, but his blade sliced through empty air. What? But they were right here. Baffled, Masachika turned his gaze back to the mirror. In the room reflected there, Sanami was attacking empty space with one technique after another. The demon continued to watch with a sneer. As he stared in confusion, Masachika noticed something even stranger. He himself wasn't reflected in the mirror. The display case in the corner of the room was also missing. Realization crept over him. That's not here. Was the mirror showing him a different room? As Masachika leaned in to get a better look, Sanami disappeared, replaced by an ordinary reflection. Masachika grabbed both sides of the mirror and shouted into his own pale, desperate face. Wait! Sanami! Where'd you go? He shook the mirror frantically, then stopped. In one corner of its reflection, he could see the display case. An incense burner sat on the top shelf. But when he looked over his shoulder, the case was empty. What? This didn't make sense. His mind in turmoil, Masachika looked into the mirror one more time. He stared hard into the glass, watching reddish smoke waft up from the incense burner. The sickly, rotten but somehow fragrant scent hung in the air as it had since he set foot in the house. Was the scent coming from that burner? It couldn't be. He murmured, and the red smoke in the mirror wavered. Somewhere, in a dark corner of his mind, he heard a girl crying. She whispered, barely audible, in the voice of the dead. Help! Damn it, Sanami cursed as the demon easily deflected yet another attack. Why can't I hit her? You are a little fool, aren't you? The demon said, as though chiding a disobedient child. I told you before, you're inside me. No one can hurt me here. Sanemi didn't want to believe it, but she was right about the last part, at least. Not only did his blade never touch her, but the flesh walls around him seemed impervious to damage. Those walls had swallowed Uraga's corpse. Sanemi couldn't even return his body to his girlfriend. The thought ground away at him. "Do be a good boy and settle down," the demon urged. "You're my child now. Mother will keep you safe. She'll be with you forever. You can stop all this pointless fussing. Come now, I'll give you a hug. Or maybe you prefer a lullaby?" "Shut up," Sanemi groaned. She was toying with him, and he knew it. She hadn't attacked even once. She seemed to enjoy watching him fail, letting him steadily exhaust his mind and body in futile attacks. To have a chance at defeating her, Sanemi would have to get out of that pulsating room. But how? He kept coming back to that question and finding no answers. He was going in circles. If I could at least get the kids out. Out of the corner of his eye, he glanced at the last two children. The boy was clearly very sick, his body shaking, perhaps from a fever. The girls seemed stable at the moment, but Sanemi had to get them both to a doctor as soon as possible. To do that, he had to kill the demon. But in this room, he couldn't lay a finger on her. Damn it! The demon watched Sanemi's frustration with amusement. Then the smirk vanished from her face. "How?" she demanded. At first Sanemi thought she was talking to him, but she was turned away, staring into space. This child. What is he? Sanemi hadn't seen this look on her face before. The mocking glee was gone. For the first time, she looked unsure of herself. "He shouldn't be able to see this," the demon whispered. Sanemi's brow furrowed. "What are you going on about?" From somewhere in the room, Sanemi heard the sound of pottery breaking. As he tried to figure out where it had come from, the scene around him changed. "What?" he cried. The red-black world of flesh was gone. He was back in the tatami-floored room, and the demon who had been in front of him was now standing behind him. Glimpsing her over his shoulder, he leapt away to put some distance between them. What was happening? Looking around, Sanemi saw that the room wasn't quite the same as it had been before. The snow-white beds were nowhere to be seen. Instead, the children were lying directly on the tatami mats. The doors, walls, floor, and ceiling all bore slashes from Sanemi's blade. In a moment, it all came together. Illusions. The white beds he had seen in the beginning, the terrible world enclosed by walls of flesh, they had been phantoms created by the demon to confuse him and conceal the truth. No wonder none of his attacks had landed. As he pieced things together, Sanemi realized the rotten sweet scent was gone as well. Now that he knew he'd been dancing along with illusions, Sanemi was more enraged than ever. How dare that demon toy with his mind? She'd had him convinced he was locked in some alternative space, even if he didn't believe it was really the womb of a demon. He'd been focused on escaping that space, and it had blinded him to reality. He'd fallen for every one of her tricks. But how had her spell been broken? A familiar voice shouting his name answered that question. "Sanemi. Where are you?" "Masachika." "I'm here," Sanemi called back. He heard feet thudding down the hallway. A few seconds later, Masachika flew in through the open doors. "Sanemi." So I figured it out in time. Beads of sweat stood out on Masachika's forehead, but he wore his familiar bright smile. "You're okay." The moment Sanemi saw that smile, his friend's relief writ large across his face. He knew that Masachika was the one who'd saved him from the demon's trap. His anger melted away at once. Even if they hadn't been able to see each other, Masachika had been there, fighting alongside him. He felt his face stretch, unprompted, into a smile. "You saved me, Masachika." His friend grinned back. "What are big brothers for?" Relying on the image in the mirror, Masachika cut through the display case with his Nichiren sword. He heard the sound of porcelain breaking. With that, the hateful scent dissipated. He glanced down at the shattered fragments of the incense burner. Then, afraid to waste another second, he ran down the hallway, calling for his friend. When Sanemi shouted back, Masachika raced in the direction of his voice. What had been a dead end when he was searching the house now opened up into a room. He charged through the open sliding doors and found the demon, 2 children, and Sanemi, thankfully still alive. Sanemi. So I figured it out in time, he panted, looking his friend over. No new injuries. No bleeding. So Sanemi hadn't become desperate enough to use his rare blood. The situation was still serious, but Masachika broke out into a smile. You're okay. Sanemi ran over, meeting Masachika's smile with his own. What did you do? How'd you break the illusion? There's a mirror in another room that's a charm against evil, Masachika explained. It was handed down for generations by the family that lived here. He told Sanemi about the letter he'd found, written in blood by a girl who was murdered by her own mother. He guessed that the daughter's spirit had gotten its revenge by showing the truth about her mother in the mirror. He described breaking the hidden incense burner to make the demonic fragrance disappear. Sanemi caught on immediately. And the woman who killed her daughter. It's gotta be her, Masachika glared at the demon. The demon's smile was like ice. Well, who knew that old mirror had some power in it after all? Asterisk. Masachika noticed the number inscribed in her left eye. Lower rank 1. So she was one of the 12 Kazuki, closer to Muzan Kibutsuji than any demon Masachika had faced before. Even so, no fear rose within him. Nor was he champing at the bit with fighting spirit. Inside him, there was only rage. She had killed Sae. Even before she became a demon, that woman had been a monster wearing human skin. It certainly didn't do anything to stop my husband from beating me, the demon continued, sounding little more than annoyed. I always thought the family stories about it being a talisman were bunk. Sae helped us, Masachika said, half to himself. Had Sae's spirit cursed her mother, or was she trying to save her from adding to her sins? As he tried to imagine the dying girl's state of mind, Masachika felt his hands clenching into fists. In lazy, self-pitying tones, the demon sighed. So the girl betrayed me again, did she? With a gasp, Masachika exploded in rage. That's a lie. You betrayed her. You killed her by inches. Every time she started to get better, you hurt her again. You poisoned her, crushed her throat, slapped her head, broke her legs. How could you do that to the child you gave birth to? Anger made his voice shrill. In the face of this outburst, the demon betrayed no emotion. If anything, she looked bored. The rage inside of Masachika melted into sorrow. I won't let you get away with this, yay. The demon flinched at the sound of her human name. She'd been unmoved by talk of her daughter, but now her face darkened and her voice grew harsh. I abandoned that name long ago, she said. My name is Yubume. A gem of a name bestowed upon me by my lord when he gave me this wonderful new form. I was named by the only one who's ever understood me. Now she sounded ecstatic. All I ever wanted was happiness. The demon described how she'd endured her husband's violence, hoping that someday they could be a happy family. Despite her patience, he ruined her, robbed her, and finally threatened to run off with some woman he met in a gambling den. She killed him and made it look like an accident, and no one questioned her. But even with her abuser gone, her heart remained empty. She wondered why, no matter how hard she worked, she couldn't be happy. Then, when her daughter fell ill, he discovered that nursing the sick girl filled her with a peace she'd never imagined. As she cared for Sae, she felt the desire to live that way forever. But she tried to run away. The ecstasy on Yubume's face dissolved into disappointment. She crawled across the floor, bent on leaving. I was so kind. I did everything for her. And that was how she repaid me. So you killed your own daughter? Is that what you're saying? Sanemi said in a strangely even voice. Yes. I did, Yubume smiled gently. The look in her eyes was completely different when she gazed at Sanemi than it was when she stared Masachika down. It was as soft as if she were regarding her own beloved child. But I regretted it immediately. Once she was dead, I was no longer the brave wife devoted to an abusive husband or the patient mother caring for her sickly daughter. I was nothing. That was. When he appeared before me. He shared his blood, understood her feelings. He told her she would make a powerful demon. To that end, he informed her she must devour as many humans as she could. What do you think my first meal was? She asked with a smile. Sae's corpse. Masachika groaned, disgusted. It was just as he'd imagined. His fists clenched even tighter. The euphoria returned to Yubume's face. Since then, I've snatched up so very many children. I eat them, return them to the womb, make them my own. At last I've given this house a happy family. The demon turned to Masachika. You see, it's easy to find a way into the hearts of children who have been hurt. If their parents won't love them, they'll turn to anyone who will. More than one of my little ones has clung to me, thanking me, right up to the moment I swallowed them. Truly a blessing. I've been so happy. But I have no place for a child who holds his head high and meets a parent's eyes without fear. I prefer someone like your friend here. Yubume looked at Sanemi with a blood-red smile of boundless benevolence. You're hurting, my child. Not just your body, but your heart as well. I can always tell when a child comes from cruel parents. I want to comfort you. I want to love you. Masachika felt a sudden rush of blood to his head. He was too enraged to spit out even a word of response. Instinctively, he attacked with every ounce of strength in his body. Wind breathing, third form. Clear storm wind tree. Yubume tried to deflect his blade, but the power of the attack overwhelmed her. Her left arm, ripped from her body, tumbled to the tatami. Her red eyes glanced indifferently at the arm before turning back to Masachika. He glared back. Sanemi's no pitiful child. Not even close. His mom loved him. She loved her sons from the bottom of her heart. Emotion left his voice ragged. He hated the demon so deeply he could hardly bear it. This monster didn't know what kind of life his friend had led. She had no right to talk that way about the most loving soul Masachika had ever known. She couldn't imagine how he put his own body through hell, again and again, for what was left of his family. You don't know the first thing about him, you wretched demon, he cried, trembling with rage. Don't drag your filth over his memories. Masachika. It's okay, Sanemi put a hand on his shoulder, and its gentle warmth sapped the fire out of Masachika. Sanemi. What's with that look? Sanemi gave him a crooked grin. I swear, you come from a different world. I can't count how many times people have jabbered on with their pet theories about me like they had some amazing insight. That includes my own dad. You can't take it seriously. His voice softened. I've never thought I was pitiful. Masachika nodded wordlessly. Somehow, his friend's unruffled reaction made the demon's cruelty even worse. His jaw clenched. Anyway, Sanemi turned the tip of his Nichiren sword on the now one-armed demon. Sorry to disappoint you, but you had me wrong from the start. I don't mean an angel of mercy, and I can see the stinking demon you really are. I suppose this means you won't play nicely, Yubume smiled. It really is too bad. I think we'd make a lovely mother and son. Shut up, Masachika spat. It's over, Sanemi told her. With your illusions gone, I can hack you to bits. Perhaps you can, Yubume said. With a graceful motion, she scooped her arm off the floor. She pressed it lightly to the stump. In the blink of an eye, flesh surged from the seam and fused the limb back in place. The speed of her regeneration made Masachika shudder. This was faster than any demon he encountered before. But what does that matter, she mused. I can always put myself back together. I'm a demon. What about you mortals? We'll just have to slice you up faster than you can heal, Sanemi said with a cold smile. He leapt. First form, second form, third form, fourth form, fifth form. He danced around the room, firing off one technique after another. Yubume deflected some, reeled back from others. Masachika raised his own sword to aid his friend. Masachika, Sanemi shouted. He signaled with his eyes. Masachika turned in the direction Sanemi indicated and saw the children lying feebly on the tatami mats. Grasping his friend's meaning, he grabbed them and moved them away from the fight. He propped them against a wall. Whatever happened, he would keep them safe. The boy was about 12 years old, the girl perhaps not yet 10. It made Masachika's heart ache to see how frail they were. We're going to save you, he reassured them. Hang in there. The boy looked at him with sunken eyes. Mister. Despite himself, Masachika jumped. The boy had seemed too far gone to speak. You'll help us? I will, he promised. Thanks. Tears slid from the corners of the boy's eyes. It hurt to see how thin the boy was, how his cheeks had faded to ash. The girl next to him stared blankly at nothing, as if the spirit had been leached from her body. Masachika gritted his teeth so hard he heard them begin to crack. How could even a demon do this to little kids? An almost crazed fury rose in his heart. You two stay here, he said. Don't move. He gripped the hilt of his Nichiren sword. Masachika was enraged. Between attacks, Sanemi glanced with concern at his friend fighting beside him. The Masachika he knew was cheerful and simple as a summer breeze. Extreme emotions seemed beyond him. This was the first time Sanemi had seen naked anger on his face. The demon had set Masachika off in exactly the wrong way. At the same time, it didn't seem that Masachika was letting anger cloud his judgment or blind him to his surroundings. Sanemi worried that Masachika would let his feelings take over and waste his strength. But the movements of his blade were, if anything, sharper than ever. He picked up on Sanemi's most subtle movements to anticipate which technique his friend would use next and respond in kind. Their movements flowed in sync like a steady, implacable wind. I guess even at our worst, we're still brothers. The corners of Sanemi's lips turned up the slightest bit. Sanemi, Masachika cried. The head. Drive at her head. I'll take it clean off her shoulders, Sanemi promised. Monster. Gracious. Visibly struggling to dodge their coordinated attack. Yubume grimaced in irritation. You really are stubborn children. She danced close to Sanemi. Her leg shot out. Sanemi leapt back to evade the attack, but her kick grazed his Adam's apple. He flinched just before the next blow caught him in the solar plexus. For an instant, the wind was knocked out of him, and he went flying. He slammed into the tatami floor and gulped for air. Sanemi, Masachika cried as he lashed out at Yubume with his sword. Wind breathing, third form. Clear storm wind tree, Yubume couldn't escape his blade. She took the hit but kicked out at Masachika's head. He dodged just in time, but the skin on his temple split and oozed blood. He staggered back, concussed. The demon stabbed a hand at his undefended torso. He avoided a direct strike, but her claws grazed his side and dug into his flesh. He screamed and twisted in pain. Yubume licked every drop of Masachika's blood from her hand, clearly relishing it. I've eaten so many tasty children, she purred. Some of them even had rare blood. Each meal makes me stronger. Groaning, Masachika collapsed to his knees on the tatami. He tried to use breath control to stop himself from bleeding out. Yubume reached for his neck. Masachika, Sanemi leapt in with sword swinging. Wind breathing, fourth dash. In the midst of his attack, the wound in his throat opened up again. Fresh blood gushed forth. He doubled over in a coughing fit. He'd been injured worse than he'd thought. Gobbets of blood splashed on the tatami mats, dyeing them red. Yubume stopped. She quivered from head to toe. "What is this?" she murmured. Her gaze wandered, searching, and came to rest on the blood spattered around Sanemi. Her eyes widened greedily. "Why, you have rare blood, child." A flush rose to her pale cheeks, and her eyes grew dreamy. "Quite rare, at that. Worth the blood of 100 ordinary mortals." "No, more. Much more." Buoyed by sudden passion, Yubume glided to Sanemi. She seemed entirely transformed. She no longer had eyes for the enraged Masachika. "Ah, Sanemi." As she lapped at his blood, the kindly smile spread across her red lips and flushed cheeks. "We truly are meant to be. Sweet child, I love you. I adore you. Sanemi, I'll never hurt you again. Come, be with." Suddenly, she clutched her head and shuddered, nearly crumpling to the ground. "What? Why? I can't." "Ah." Sanemi wiped the blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. "Can't handle my flavor of blood, can you?" From experience, he'd learned that the stronger the demon, the more powerful the effect of his mere chi. It ought to be very potent to a demon of lower rank one. Blood, so strong, but how? Yubume panted, still cradling her head in her hands. Sanemi couldn't let this chance slip away. He gritted his teeth against the pain of his injuries and hurled himself at the demon. The move landed with full force. Knife-like gusts of wind raced toward the demon with the power of sandstorms. Screeching, Yubume pitched forward at an extreme angle, narrowly evading the attack. Masachika had stopped the bleeding on his side, and now he readied his sword again. "This ends here," he snarled. "Go apologize to Sae and all the other kids you've killed." Sanemi watched as his friend's blade carved a flawless arc in the air. Wind breathing, third form. Clear storm wind dash. At that distance, Masachika was sure to take the demon's head off. Sanemi readied himself for victory. Then he heard a blood-curdling scream. "Stop!" The little girl stood in front of Yubume, holding out trembling arms to protect her from Masachika. She looked up with tears in her eyes. "Don't hurt my mommy," she begged. Wadash! In the space of a heartbeat, Masachika deflected his attack away from the girl. The blades of wind missed her by a hair. Masachika was knocked off balance. His breathing fell a heartbeat out of sync. The demon took advantage of this brief slip to attack, tossing the girl aside like a doll. Focused on saving the girl, Masachika had been forced to drop his own defenses. The demon's arm plunged into his gut. He shuddered and coughed up fresh blood. "You should have cut the child down," the demon told him. Masachika could only grunt. The Nichiren sword fell from his hand. His body followed, hitting the ground with a sick thud. The demon watched him fall with cold eyes. "Foolish child." Sanemi's sword sliced soundlessly through her neck. Her head tumbled to the tatami floor. From the depths of Sanemi's crushed throat came the howl of a wild animal. He was drowning in an anger with no outlet, an emptiness that seemed impossible. The demon's head still bore its false smile when, along with its fallen body, it vanished into thin air. The Kikuchi arrived soon after the battle to whisk the children away into their care. They treated Sanemi's injuries, but Masachika, despite regaining consciousness, was beyond medical help. All they could do was make him as comfortable as possible in the demon's house. Sanemi sat beside his friend. One of the Kikuchi said tentatively, "Lord Shinazugawa, you've lost a significant amount of blood. It's nothing." Sanemi cut him off. "Leave us alone. I'm afraid I can't do that, the Kikuchi said. You also have some broken ribs, and the damage to your throat is beyond what we can take care of here. I strongly recommend treatment at Butterfly Mansion right away. Otherwise, in the worst case, both of you could dash. Shut up, Sanemi glared at the Kikuchi, daring him to go on. Are you certain you're all right? Another Kikuchi asked. It was a young man with sleepy eyes. Can you state that definitively? Sanemi nodded curtly. That's that, then, the Kikuchi said. We withdraw. But, go to dash. These are the people who risk their lives to fight demons for us. At the very least, we can respect their feelings. The Kikuchi hurried his colleague out of the house. Sanemi and Masachika were left alone together. A different incense filled the air now, a cleansing scent burned to dispel the stench of blood. Sanemi. Masachika struggled to remain conscious. His face was as white as a sheet. The kids. What about the kids? They're both safe. Sanemi sat his friend up, cradling his body. Masachika's skin was cold, a sure sign that the flame of life was dying within him. Sanemi clenched his jaw, swallowing the urge to scream. The Kikuchi took them back to Butterfly Mansion. Relax, Masachika smiled with relief. That's good. What about you? Me, said Sanemi with forced cheer. You know me. Of course I'm fine. Even on death's doorstep, Masachika still had room in his heart to worry about the children and his brother Demon Slayer. Sanemi gritted his teeth until they hurt. The base of his throat ached with unshed tears. The little boy had wept with joy at the sight of the rescue squad, but the girl had remained in a stupor, not reacting in any way when the Kikuchi spoke to her. Sanemi thought bleakly of Uraga, who slit his own throat rather than betray his false mother, only moments after begging for a chance to be reunited with his girlfriend. This girl seemed similarly entranced by Yubume, unable to escape her poisonous promise of love. Sanemi shuddered at the thought of what kind of future lay ahead for her. She'll be okay, Masachika whispered, as if reading Sanemi's mind. Terrorized for so long, hard to escape the demon's control. It'll take time. But she'll recover. His friend's heroic words made Sanemi's eyes sting. He pushed back the tears and tried to steady his voice. What are you worrying about other people for? I swear, I've got such an idiot for a brother. Masachika narrowed his eyes as if blinded by sudden brilliance. Hey, Sanemi? Yeah? Even when I'm gone. Masachika's voice was little more than an exhalation. Eat. Sleep. Try to get along with people. Sanemi couldn't speak. Make sure to live your life. Sanemi hesitated before choking out, yeah. If he said anything more, he would start crying. He would scream, don't die. Masachika looked up at Sanemi and smiled. To Sanemi, it was the finest sight in the world. It was hard to believe he ever found it annoying and tried to wipe it off Masachika's face. That smiling face had saved his life time and again. Sanemi had only gotten this far because Masachika was with him. Thanks to Masachika, he'd been able to live as a human being again. Why did someone so good have to die? Because he refused to harm a little girl? It was too absurd to accept. Sanemi wanted to shout to the heavens, if there are any gods up there, help him. Masachika was so much kinder than he was. So much stronger. This was a man who could go on to save so many more lives. He could bring the world happiness. It's up to you now, Sanemi. Don't die. Masachika. Be happy. The light faded from Masachika's eyes. Masachika, Sanemi clutched his friend's body to his chest and wept ragged sobs. The demon slayer Masachika Kimono was laid to rest in the same tomb as his brother, both slain by demons. Sanemi set flowers and ohagi on the grave as an offering. A tepid breeze made the white petals flutter. He lit a stick of incense. A thin line of smoke snaked into the air. In the end, he said at last, I didn't know anything about you. He hadn't known Masachika had a younger brother who had been killed by a demon before his eyes. Or that Masachika had blamed himself for his brother's death, despite his parents' constant reassurances. Or that he had brushed off his mother as she had begged him, weeping, not to throw his own life away by joining the Demon Slayer Corps. Sanemi had only seen the cheerful, unruffled surface. He'd assumed that Masachika came from a peaceful background, a carefree life. But deep down, Masachika had shared Sanemi's undying hatred of demons. He'd simply dealt with it in a different way. He never let anyone, not even Sanemi, see his anger. Now Sanemi understood why the battle with Yubume had driven Masachika into a rage. In Yubume's young victims, he'd seen his own lost little brother. No wonder he always played big brother to Sanemi, insisting on the apprentice-brother relationship whenever he had the chance. Guess I looked like a little brother to you, huh? Sanemi said to the grave. In reality, there wasn't any great difference in their ages. Sanemi had thought of Masachika as a peer, or even as a pesky little brother. His lips quirked upwards. You really were the most difficult big brother ever, he said, and the zinnias on the tomb fluttered as though they were laughing. Sanemi, let's go get beef hot pot. Sanemi, I picked up some ohaki. Put on the tea. Ah, I lost again. You've got some nerve, Sanemi. Let your big brother keep his dignity. Now. How are you gonna attract girls if you make that face? Sanemi. I caught you a rhinoceros beetle. Cut up some watermelon and save a slice for me. Make sure to live your life. Masachika had taught Sanemi not to give up on his life. But what about Masachika's life? Was it happy? Sanemi fell silent, immersed in memories of his lost friend. Hey, Masachika, he said at last. That stupid kid brother of mine went and joined the Demon Slayer Corps, of all things. Anger and annoyance mixed in his voice. As if trying to soothe him, the zinnias fluttered. Reluctantly, he smiled as memories stirred within him. Sanemi remembered the day he became a big brother, his first look at newborn Genya with his monkey face and eyes screwed shut. When he timidly grasped that tiny hand, he was sure he saw the baby smile. At that moment, he knew he'd do whatever it took to keep this fragile little person safe. Other brothers and sisters came after that, and Genya grew old enough to help his big brother around the house. Together they vowed to take care of their mother and younger siblings. Even so, as far as Sanemi was concerned, Genya would always be his baby brother. When their mother became a demon and Sanemi killed her, Genya, the only other survivor in the family, wept and shouted that his brother was a murderer. The poor kid still felt bad about that, years later. But it had never bothered Sanemi. Nothing Genya did could ever hurt him. During the dark times, Sanemi's sole joy was Genya's life, Genya's happiness. It was all he prayed for, it was his reason for living. I don't care how much he hates me for it, Sanemi told the grave. I'll never give him my blessing to join. He doesn't want this life. Head hanging low, he whispered, I'm not making a mistake, am I? Masachika? The only response was the murmur of the wind. If Masachika were alive, what would he say? He thought of Sanemi as a younger brother, had probably prayed for a bright future for him. You'd tell me I'm being a dodo. You'd tell me to put myself in Genya's shoes. You'd suggest we could guide him, teach him. And you'd do it all with a grin on your face. You always were a better person than me. I can't do that, he said aloud. I just can't. Masachika died because he was the better person. He had the biggest heart in the world, and the world stole his life away. Genya was a good kid too, the kind of person who put others before himself. No matter how much Jinya hated and cursed him for it, Sanemi had to stop him from being as cruelly rewarded for his kindness as Masachika had been. Sanemi wasn't as strong as Kocho. He couldn't welcome his brother into this world and fight alongside him. He wanted to protect him, and it seemed like the only way to do that was to push him away. Sanemi crouched silently before the grave for a long while. At last he stood up. The wind teased his hair and ruffled the flowers. "See ya," the wind hashira said quietly. He turned his back, decorated with the character for kill, to his friend's grave and slowly walked away. The flowers swayed to and fro, as if carrying his words to the next world. The wind blew. End of Chapter 1. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe for lots more.